into the newscast with the latest coming in from France, as French President Emmanuel Macron's administration has agreed to completely rewrite a draft plan that was designed to curb freedom to film police officers on duty. Now, this comes after France witnessed large protests against police brutality. Hundreds of thousands of people took to the streets to demonstrate in favor of free speech. Over 46,000 people demonstrated in Paris alone, while over 130,000 took to the streets across France. The rallies come after a video of 3 police officers beating up a black man inside a music studio went viral. Macron has called the incident shameful for France. French Interior Minister defended the bill hours after Macron's party backtracked. The minister insisted that police officers are not sufficiently protected and that police protection and press freedom go hand in hand. He said that structural problems exist, but expressed total disgust over acts of discrimination and violence.
Et je partage évidemment mon parfait dégoût devant tout acte qui peut être des actes de discrimination et singulièrement des actes de racisme. Un léger coup d'œil cependant de la sociologie des policiers vous ferait voir que c'est quand même un corps extrêmement ouvert et qui ressemble à la population. Ce n'est pas de tous les corps de la fonction publique. Mais il est vrai que de la part de ceux qui ont l'autorité, des propos racistes, des actes racistes sont absolument inacceptables.
A provision in the draft law known as Article 24 sparked outrage. It made sharing of images of the police punishable by a year of imprisonment and a fine of 45,000 euros. French journalists and human rights activists said that the article was too vague and could discourage people wanting to expose police brutality. The video of Michel Zecler's violent arrest has now drawn criticism internationally as well. Many of Macron's centre-left supporters have expressed dismay at what they call the president's conservative overturn. A new version of Article 24 will be submitted. The timeline of the move is not known as yet. For more details, let's quickly go across to journalist Lisa Louise, who's joining us live from Paris at this hour. Thank you, Lisa, for joining our broadcast. Now, why is it crucial for Article 24 to be rewritten completely?
Well, the government is basically bending into pressure from the street, but also from members of its own government party in parliament. People seem to understand that there is a risk that this article could be used to curtail press freedom and simply freedom of expression. As I said, it would mean that you would not be allowed to broadcast or publish pictures of police officers, identifying them, so showing their face or their number, with which you can actually find out who that person is, if you have the intention to physically or psychologically harm these people. Now, that is something that many here fear would actually threaten the presumption of innocence, which is really important also here in France.
Right. Lisa, now that the French police has been under intense scrutiny for racism, something that also happened in the United States. While it was George Floyd's death that propelled the Black Lives Matter movement in US, how different is the movement in France? Is it different at all?
Well, there are parallels, obviously. Many people here feel that they are being targeted by police, people from ethnic minorities. And there is a point, there's several associations saying basically you're being controlled, they are being controlled all the time because of their color of skin. The difference between France and the US is, though, that that weapons are not that widespread. So there is police violence here, yes, but there are not that many people who die from it because, police officers wouldn't necessarily retaliate with a weapon right away. But it is being claimed that many people are being targeted for belonging to an ethnic minority here in France.
Right. Lisa, by aiming to pass laws that would restrict freedom of speech, protests and in fact protect the police, has there been a growing trust deficit towards the Macron government? What sort of an impact has this backlash towards the bill had on the Macron administration?
Well, many people here have been saying that this government is moving further to the right, not only because of that law that would also, by the way, give the police the right to use drones to identify people during demonstrations. There's also a new guideline that's been issued for police, which would actually mean that journalists would have to get accreditation to cover demonstrations in the public domain. Now, the government has come back on that rule, but nevertheless, there are other laws that go into a similar direction. For example, one on university research, which would actually limit the right to demonstrate, to protest on campus. So many people here feel that there is this general trend of the Macron government to move towards the right, to catch the right-wing and far-right vote, actually. Just remember, in 2 years' time, there's the next presidential election coming up, and Macron is hoping to win that election, especially if he is in the second round runoff and might be facing far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. That's why he's actually trying to catch the right-wing vote.
Right. Having said that, there's, of course, much to be addressed by the Macron administration for now. Thank you so much, Lisa, for joining our broadcast.